First question that I was gonna ask was how's your day, but it's like first thing in the morning. We probably just got here. So, I mean, did you do anything? Oh, did you go on your run today?
No, because I came from a wedding yesterday, so
Oh.
it was so draining, but it was so fun.
Where?
So no running, but it's been my newest thing.
Yeah, going on runs.
Yeah.
You said you were gonna sign up for a run. So
Well, when I do things with my sister, it's so formal because she's like businesswoman, so it's like, and then plus I'm busy, so it has to be like we're gonna do this. But then we're both tired because she went out dancing last night, so we both had a busy night. But usually, like when we sign up for something, it has to be like we mean what we say, but we are both mutual. It was like, no, we're both tired. Let's just rest.
So what were you gonna sign up for? Was it like
It's like a beach run where you have a certain distance, because in Long Beach, when you start at like Junipero, you can go for like a mile or two, and they have mile markers. And I suck at running, so I've been trying to challenge myself.
that's good? Is there somebody like that's hosting the run that keeps track of all the people that sign up for the run and stuff like that, or is it more of like we kind of just do our own thing?
Well, the real thing that I've been talking to like one of my nurse practitioners about is like it's like a half marathon type of thing. But then in Long Beach, what they have is a stud Ironman. So you run the whole span of the beach while swimming it as well.
Wait, so you run the whole span of the beach?
Yeah.
And then you swim back?
No, so like I did it when I was in high school, so I know like if I've done it before, I can do it again kind of thing. But you run, and then every buoy marker that's in the ocean, you would have to swim to it and then swim back.
What the heck?
And then run the sand. You see another buoy, swim there, swim back. The longest swim is when you're on the Long Beach pier and you have to go around the pier and then back onto the sand.
Wait, you did this in high school?
Yeah, and then you get timed.
And you were gonna
crazy.
do it again recently?
Not recently, but it's just like I've done so much like weight training now that I'm just like I need to up my cardio.
Yeah.
Because it's like it's just I work in cardio now, so it's it's just such an important thing that I like totally neglected.
Yeah, I think I personally love cardio. I know a lot of people that work out like have a very love-hate relationship with cardio. Either they really like it or they really hate it, you know? But I enjoy cardio just because I've been an athletic person for a lot of my life. So I enjoy kind of like, not saying that I don't enjoy like weight training and stuff, because I do, but I do enjoy cardio more than maybe some of the other people that we know that like focus on weight training and stuff like that.
Right, but do you like it more than weight training?
That is a good question.
That's
do I like it more than weight training? Well, when you say debate, are you talking about like whether it's better for me or not, or just what do I enjoy more?
No, like if you're like, okay, I want to go work out, what would be your go-to, like to weight train or to run a couple miles?
Dang, honestly, it depends on how I'm feeling, because I feel like it takes a different mentality, not completely different, but it takes a slightly different mentality to do either. I would say if I had to pick one that I enjoy more, not whether it's more beneficial for me or what gives me the best outcome. If I had to pick, I would pick cardio.
Wow.
Yeah, I would pick cardio just because when I think of cardio, obviously most people think of running, but then like you said, there's also swimming, bike riding and stuff like that. All of that is cardio, and I enjoy the fact that you'd be able to do that and go outdoors and be in nature. Like you can ride bikes in nature, or run, or you know, like you said, swim in the ocean and stuff like that. And being a part of nature and being able to work out at the same time is a little bit more attractive to me than being in the gym all the time and around a bunch of random people and like being in the same gym every time you work out, rather than like, oh, today I'm gonna run on the beach, or tomorrow I'm gonna run at this park and stuff like that, and you get to see different things and you're outside and being in fresh air in the sun. I enjoy that a little bit more. So.
Yeah, that's literally why I only run at the beach. It's because like I've tried the treadmill just to get it over with, and it's easier because the momentum of the treadmill is just like you can get it done faster, but like the view is literally why I can run that distance. Yeah. Like it takes the pain away.
Because you're looking at all the nice views and stuff.
And when you're looking down, but then you look up and you have a whole view, it makes it easier.
Yeah, I feel like it's don't know what the right word is, not encouraging, but like
it's pretty encouraging.
Yeah, to look up and be like, wow, like it feels so good to run out here rather than like running on a treadmill and you
it's
look
like
up and
life
you just
is
see
beautiful.
you see like, I don't know, other people working out and stuff. It's different.
It's crazy on a treadmill because like you just see the miles go like 0.8, 0.9, like it's, and then the time is just, for me, the time goes by fast.
Does it go by faster?
The time goes by fast, and then my mileage is still slow.
No, I know. It's like when you're at school or when you're at your job and stuff like that, and you're waiting for the time to like, for you to be off every time you look at the clock. It's like, oh my gosh, it's felt like 30 minutes, but it's only been like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. Like
exactly. You're not looking at the time, so it goes by faster. Yeah.
So you said that you work in cardio. Remind me again what you do and what it's like to do that job.
I work... Sorry.
It's okay.
The coffee. I work in a cardio, thoracic, and vascular surgery clinic.
Wow.
So, So it's like... we meet patients who are candidates for possible open heart surgery and lung surgeries. So anything that's like within that general area. And I'm a medical assistant there. So I kind of just do whatever I am needed. More so in this clinic. Like before it was like a lot of like flu injections and pap smears even at primary care, which is like your general doctor. And then now it's a specialty, like I'm specializing. So it's mainly like going over like heart medications and just being with the patient in the process before they have to get actual surgery. And I didn't know how crazy open heart surgery was until like I met the big dudes behind it. I say dudes because all my surgeons are guys. Yeah. So, but yeah.
Do you watch it? So you've like seen...
No, I wish. I want to ask one of my surgeons if I can be in the OR just to observe. But no, we're like the consultation before they have to go to the hospital, which is really big because it determines like, do they want to follow through or do they want to just neglect it?
Yeah. So you talk with the patients and stuff like that to see like where they're at and what they want going forward and whether or not the surgery that you guys provide will be in line with that.
Yeah, like these patients have to, so you have your primary care and then they go to a cardiologist, and once their cardiologist is like, oh, they need surgery, then they see us. So we're like the last of the last until they go into the operating room. So
these surgeries that these people come in for, what is it like? What makes it different than going in for, I don't know, any other surgery?
Oh my God. Open heart surgery is such a, not pro and con, but like such a risky surgery because we had to learn about it because we have to know what our patients are going to go through. And when you're under open heart surgery, they stop your heart. And when you're there, like, I want to be in the OR to kind of see like what goes on, but I'm actually signing up for something really scary. Yeah. Because you have your table where the patient is, you have your surgeons, PAs, everybody, and then you have this huge machine that stops your heart and like keeps, like it's the main thing that can put blood back into your heart. And it's just because your blood is going into a machine and then back into you, it makes more of a risk for like stroke and heart attack because it's a mechanism, you know, it's not how your heart usually functions. So it's some crazy stuff.
Do you think that you would, so I would assume that since you want to be in the room, you're not really squeamish for like to see someone's like chest ripped open.
Yeah, did you know that they use a mini saw to, you know, this is your clavicle?
I'm just getting like all like thinking about it. Anyways, no, it's okay.
Yeah, but they have to saw that bone to get into that. But I'm not really. I thought I wasn't really squeamish until there was one day that like I was running through paperwork, and it was for one of our patients, and then usually it's just words on like a fax machine. It's words, and then all of a sudden a picture comes up. Oh. And it's like one of the wounds that didn't heal. And then I look at it and I was like, ah! And then I was like, maybe I'm a little bit squeamish.
Yeah.
But other than that, I can handle blood and that whole just like flesh pretty well.
Yeah, I mean, definitely some people take it better than others. I remember recently, Daph and I were watching the new season of You. We haven't finished it, but we were watching the new season of You, and we were eating. Mm-hmm. We were eating lunch and stuff, and then one of the, I don't know if it was the first episode, but like either the first episode or one of the first episodes, the main guy Joe. Spoiler alert for anybody. Whatever. He like kills somebody, and like it's way more graphic than the first season, or I don't know if this is the third season or something, but it's way more graphic than all the other stuff. Like he literally, again, discretion, viewer advice, whatever, blah blah blah. He literally like chops the person up into like a bunch of small pieces and stuff, and we're like eating, and Daph's like, oh, hell no.
Oh, man. No, I get that.
Yeah, but like, I mean, obviously it's totally different. But yeah, I don't know. For me, just to think about seeing somebody, like a person, a human being laying down on a table with their chest like open and it's like crazy. Like,
it's to each their own what you can handle. And I already knew that this is like the field that I'm going into. And I was always weird as a kid. Like, when I would get injections, like I thought it was so cool. Like I could handle it so well. But like, I don't know, even when I was in my other clinic, like I loved giving people injections. Like I loved doing like invasive stuff.
Yeah.
Like for me, like I even wanted to buy, when you go into med school, you have to do sutures and you can buy a kit where it's like fake, some sort of flesh looking stuff, and you can practice. I wanted to buy that on my own just to like get ahead of the game, but also like just to try it out. So I'm okay with that, and it works because that's the field I want. So.
Yeah, people in the medical field, I've always like thought this way, that people in the medical field, no matter what area, y'all are a different breed, man. Because
we really are.
Because like you have like people that go into surgery, obviously, like being able to cut open a person and do that stuff, but then even people, okay, I am very ignorant in the different like areas of the medical field, but like people like Irene and Michael and stuff like that, like people,
our friends,
our other friends who have different jobs like that, and their stories of like, oh yeah, I got threw up on, like someone threw poop at me, like dude, that's like insane. I could never do that. Like as soon as that happens to me, I quit. I'm done. Like I know. I think about that too, and I'm just like, dang, like but it's so natural that it's gonna come out. I mean, yes, it's natural to come out, but it's not natural to like get it all on you.
Yeah, you're like, it's not my cup of tea. Somebody else's, just avoid it.
Yeah, and then to like talk to you guys at the end of the day and be like, yeah, I really love my job. Like what? like
why?
I mean, I get that you love helping people. That's like the main thing, right? Like helping people, being there for people, and whatever. But
so that's the thing. It's like I don't dream of someone throwing.
I love it.
Throwing poop in my face or like farting in my face. I get it if it happens, but that's just the leaps and bounds that we have to go through. Well, especially like for me, until I can be in my dream clinic kind of thing. Like, for example, like when you have to go to like PA school, you have to do rotations, and you have to get through like every field, like pediatrics where babies like maybe throw up on you, and then OBGYN where there's just so much like feminine stuff, you know? Like you have to go through all of that until you can reach your goal and then be like, okay, where do I want to be? Do I want poop thrown in my face? No. So I'm gonna, kind of be in like a department where I pick. And I don't think that would really happen to me in a derm clinic. Like it's different, but it's definitely something that we have to get through until then.
So this is usually a question I ask towards the end, but since we're already getting there, so you mentioned what your dream clinic would be, or so basically it might be a different answer, but I'll still ask the question in the same format of, if you didn't have to worry about money at all, like your whole entire life was taken care of, you had to live to whatever standard that you want to live at, but you still had to work a job, you still had to be in a job, what would that job be?
I can honestly say that I would do what my goal is now because it's fun. It's fun to me, like a clinic, and like you can work with like dermatologists or estheticians.
Yeah, so what is your goal now?
My goal now is to work in a derm office, whether it can be cosmetology, or even like being with people, because in derm you can also do oncology because there's like skin cancer and stuff like that. But for me, I really want like the cosmetology side of derm.
Yeah.
And it just I would still choose it because it's fun. Like you go to an environment and people are there, even though it is cosmetic, like people go there to like feel good, look good, and or even just to like remove like skin moles and stuff like that, things that can like better their health, because if you don't remove a skin mole, it turns into cancer, that whole shebang. But I would still choose that on top of, I love food, so I would also like travel just to like experience different cultures.
Yeah.
Like, and I know that like doing the job that I have, it is flexible, because I've had doctors who you can work from like 1 to 5 2 times a week. Like a 4-hour shift, boom, you're set. And then she travels the rest of the week. Or she has like 2-week time span, she takes off and she travels. Except that for me, I can travel specifically for like experiencing food and culture and whatever's there. So it's kind of like, yes, I would do it. And then I would add on something else too.
Yeah.
To having all the money in the world.
Yeah. So when you say derm clinic, again, I don't really know too much about that stuff. So dermatology, is that kind of like the field that you would be in? So like skin.
That's the specialty like that I would choose.
So do you like, it's kind of like a weird question. So you kind of like those like pimple popping like videos on TikTok and stuff like that?
Yeah,
or is that like a different
That is
thing?
part of it. That's like one of a few cases that you can get. Yeah, so those are like the ones that are like, it gets so bad you need a doctor to do it. But it's just not like, I don't think my whole thing is like, oh, I want to pop pimples.
Because I've heard people say that. I've heard people say like, oh, I can do that all day, or like I love watching those videos, or like I wish I had that job.
Yeah. So it's like, it's one of the couple cases, but yeah, I don't mind that stuff. So dermatology, you can just go in all different directions. I think the biggest one is going under surgery for a couple things. You can do like face, anything lower, anything like that. But just that field of cosmetics is where I see myself.
Yeah.
And where I feel like I can really thrive and use like my good energy towards that. Yeah. Like I can really uplift people in that work setting.
Yeah, I feel that. So that is your goal, right? And then you work right now in cardiology. So what does your kind of work schedule look like? Like what do you, I guess, big picture, like really shortly, big picture, and also like on a day-to-day basis, like what does it look like to work your job?
8 to 5.
8 to 5. 5 days a week, full time.
5 days a week, full time. And the benefit of that is that like, because I want to go into a type of med school, I can save up money. Yeah. Even though like shopping, but the goal is I'm saving money right now to reach that endeavor. But that's my work schedule. And it's like an hour to get to work, 8 to 5, and then.
Oh dang! Where do you work? An hour to get to work?
Pasadena.
Oh,
so like
that is far.
Yeah, you know how like the 710 always says Pasadena?
Yeah.
I'm at the end of that freeway.
Yeah.
Like,
well, I know because when I used to go to APU, that was like in the same area by Pasadena.
Yeah. So primarily just like a full-time schedule, which is exhausting as a 20-year-old. You know, like and being in our 20s, it's exhausting.
Yeah. It is. Trust me, no.
And like all my coworkers are moms. So they work 8 to 5 and then they have kids and then they cook, and I'm just like, man.
Are they doing the same job as you, or they're
doing the same job as me.
Yeah.
So I have like mentors in a way. Yeah. If they don't belittle me. You know what I mean? Like you're young and you're doing the same thing as them. Like you hear it a lot, like in the hospitals, that you just, when you're younger and you're fresh, like they're just like,
oh, do all the dirty work, do this, do that for me.
Yeah, or they just treat you like, oh, I'm better than you, you know?
Yeah.
And I'm just
because they have like more seniority.
Yeah, I'm just like, I have my own goals, but you know, people just, they look at people like that sometimes.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Has that happened to you a lot in your...
Yes, it happened to me in this clinic specifically. I had to tell my girlfriend, so I was like, what am I doing wrong? But yeah, so I came in and I started training because I needed to be trained, and this girl didn't want to train me. Like, she was like, I was like, okay, like I'm here, like what do you need me to do? And then she's just like, oh, you can do this, like this, for example, you can start rooming, and then after rooming I would just like sit at my desk and she would just do her own thing when she's supposed to train me.
Yeah.
Like if I trained you, I'd have been like, okay, is there anything you want to know?
Yeah. Do
you have any questions? Do you want me to run through the day? Like,
just basically always have you doing something.
Yeah, right? You know when someone's like not trying to help you. So I wasn't crazy.
Yeah.
But I talked to Pastor I about it, and she was like, yeah, they're like that. They're like that, especially if you get into a hospital. Like they're every man for themselves kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah. I think there are a lot of different industries and a lot of different workplaces where it is like that. I mean, you just kind of deal with those kind of people in all areas of life who exactly like that. It's kind of like you just focus on yourself and everybody else is kind of a threat to your own growth and stuff, you know, like some people think that way, you know, of like, oh, if I train this person, you know,
they'll be better than me.
They might be better than me. So like, I don't want to help them out. I want to give them all the stuff. But I think it's important to be able to build up people around you. I mean, and if they become better than you, be able to say like, now you have somebody to learn from, you know. And I know that it's hard. Some people, it's hard to swallow your pride and be like, oh, I was here longer and this person's better than me. But I think that helps grow people more and allows people to learn from another source.
Exactly.
So.
And then it's also, if you think about it, like in an educational standpoint, like if you didn't train your future generations right, what are you doing? Like you're setting your, like this is an up and coming clinic, so if you're not training to the best of your ability, you're setting your business up for failure. And why would you want that? Because you want to be the coolest medical assistant in the clinic, you know? You want to be the only person to have that knowledge, because what if you want to go on vacation? I'm lost.
No, that's very true, because some people think of it like, oh, I don't want to help this person because if I help them, it's like hard for myself. It's making it harder for me, more competition for me. But exactly like that, like what if, that's a good example of what if I wanted to go on vacation and now since I didn't train, for example, that person didn't train you up, you can't cover what she does. So now she has to like, oh, sorry, you can't go on vacation and stuff like that. So.
And that's what got me the job. That I was like, when at my old work, like I made sure that I knew to do everything. So, because I know my coworkers are moms. So if they want to go on vacation, I got it. I got front office, I got back office, I got reception. Like I have it under my skill set because they trained me. And now people can like take rotations going to vacation. Because you build a solid team. So
I think that's something that a lot of people maybe in our generation or the next generation coming up struggle with. I don't know if you ever heard of the phrase of like quiet quitting or anything like that. Have you heard of quiet quitting before?
No, what is quiet?
So quiet quitting is basically this term that was popular, I don't even know, like last year or something, where you would work your job, but you basically did the bare minimum that you needed to do to just not get fired. So you don't quit your job, you still do your job, but you quit to do extra, you quit doing more, you quit, you know what I mean? So you get paid, you do exactly what you need to do, but you're not going above and beyond. And not saying that everybody has to go above and beyond, but quiet quitting was so popular because of the mentality of I need to focus on myself. Like, these people, they don't care about me and I don't care about them.
Yeah,
like,
that's true.
It's just a job. It's not my business and stuff. So I was saying that I feel like a lot of maybe some of our generation and the next generation coming up struggle with having that mentality of working hard. And I'm not trying to like have generation battles and stuff like that, because
it's true.
I've seen it in our generation. I've seen it in the generation younger than us. I've even seen it in generation of people older, of people that work with that kind of mentality of like, I don't care about anybody else except for myself, and if I don't need to work hard, then I'm just gonna do the bare minimum, and it hurts people around you. You know, I think it is tough.
It hurts you cognitively.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's different for me in my situation because I have an end goal where what I'm doing is like, I'm at the bottom bracket, and to be where I want to be, like, I have to do that. I have to overachieve.
Yeah.
I have to show, and I want it too, like, but I have to show like the people who are my bosses and stuff like that like, I can excel. Yeah. And then I go above and beyond, not only for the clinic, but for these patients. Because, I need a letter of rec from them. So, like, that's, like, a big thing. Like, what are they going to say about me when it comes to, like, applications and stuff like that? But I have a different end goal. I feel like that's people who are, like, in their careers and I don't know. It's weird not to have a goal. It's weird. Like, I'm in this job for 30 plus years and I'm good. So I think that's why. Yeah.
That's really important. I think that's something that we talked about, I think, a little bit with Josh in the last episode, of how setting goals for yourself is very important. Having something to strive for is important. And I don't want to say something as deep as it gives your life purpose, but
it does.
I mean, I believe it does. And I think that if you set goals for yourself, it pushes you to be a better version of yourself. So talking about like working hard and working extra, not only is it beneficial for your career and for your job, and to say like, to push me up to the next level and to get promoted, but I think it speaks about your character and also like how you are as a human being, to want to strive to do more, to do better rather than not caring.
It's crazy not to have goals. That's exactly why I left my first place, as I felt so comfortable. Like, they're always asking me like, you're stable there, like, why did you want to leave that job? I was like, it's just too comfortable. Like,
I want a challenge.
I know. I was like, I want the challenge. I want the ins and outs, and I know nothing about cardiology really, besides like my heart beats. So but having a goal it's just good for you mentally. Like, you just push yourself, whether it's like mind, body, or spirit. I can't imagine a life without a goal.
Yeah. So what would you say is your, I don't want to say shortest goal, but what is the goal that you're striving for right now? Not
I like that.
Not as in like, I want to be a dermatologist, right? Because it's like end game kind of goal type thing. So what is your current goal that you're striving for right now?
I don't know if this is embarrassing.
You could choose another goal. Nobody knows yet.
Well, maybe it's embarrassing to me. I want to run a mile under 10 minutes.
No, that's not embarrassing. I mean, like, there's a lot of people that can barely even run a mile, period.
Yeah, so. True. I think because I just come from like a swimming and like always training background. Yeah, I want to run a mile under 10 minutes, and like that's been my most recent.
No, that's good.
Because my first time was 14.
Yeah.
And then it went down to 12:44. And so it's like it's slowly going down, but that's my most short-term goal. But are you talking about something else?
No. That's a perfect example because you're talking about how goals are so important. And I think it doesn't matter the scale of your goals. Like, not everybody, not all your goals has to be like, oh, I want this dream job and to have like this family and live here. Because those are all, for a lot of us, especially people around our age, those kind of goals are so far in the future. And I think it's very important to have short-term easily achievable goals like that. Not saying that, oh, it's so easy, but I'm saying like
for myself.
Yeah, smaller scale goals that you can accomplish, because those are like, if you think about a ruler, right? So you have like the inch markers and the millimeter markers. I hope that's the right term. Like you have the big lines and then the medium lines, and you got like the little lines. It's important to have all the little lines and the medium lines, so they give you that momentum and push you forward. Again, talking about how you see yourself, to give you the confidence in yourself to achieve the middle, you know, the middle lines, the medium goals, and then to push yourself forward to achieve the big goals, you know, the inch markers, those big things in your life. It's hard to believe that you can accomplish big things if you don't set yourself up to accomplish little things. So I think that is a perfect example of setting goals for yourself. And even like you said, you know, let's say, I don't know, however long ago when you started running, if I would tell you like, oh, Sandra, you should start running 10-minute miles, but your mile time was, you know, way longer than that, you might look at that and be like, oh, I don't even know how I'm supposed to do that. Like that's so, like, let's just say, I'm not going to use you as an example. Let's just say somebody runs 20-minute miles. I'm like, hey, run a 10-minute mile. It's like, dang, you have to cut my mile time in half. Like that's such a big
It's a sprint for them.
Yeah, but then to be like, okay, I'm going to run an 18-minute mile, and then I'm going to run a 14-minute mile, and then a 12-minute mile. You hit those little mini markers, you believe that 10-minute mile becomes easier and easier to achieve. Yeah,
and I think like that's how it's been for me. Yeah. Like I thought I could make it at 12 minutes, but it was like 12:34, 44. But I was like, you know, it's better than 14. And I was actually listening to this podcast that talked about like your whole like ruler centimeter thing that you're talking about. It's like climbing a ladder. Like you don't jump to the top or you're gonna fall. You know, like, I mean, unless you're like a pole vaulter, you know. But you literally had to take it step by step until you reach the top, because it's a stable and a sustainable way to make progress. So I completely agree with that. Like, it's like these small little steps, and then it's like, I'm in no rush too, you know, and I feel like I just take such a realistic approach to any, I guess any goal that I have. Like I'm not a person who can cut cold turkey. Like I need like little actions that eventually turn into habits. Yeah. So.
Yeah. And I think I like what you said about cutting cold turkey, because I feel like a lot of people struggle with that too. If you set too big of a goal and you don't achieve it, a lot of people get discouraged when you don't hit the goal that you set for yourself. Like, oh, see, I couldn't have done that. That was dumb. Like, I'm not even going to try. But again, if you have those little goals, you, again, build confidence in yourself to believe that you can achieve that. So it's good.
You set yourself up for success in that way. Yeah. Yeah.
Taking it one step at a time.
One step at a time, yeah.
Cool. So that's a really good goal. What would you say is a recent goal that you have? Not a failure. We'll get there. But what would you say is like a recent goal that you have achieved for yourself? Maybe something that you like recently done that you're proud of. Again, it can be, doesn't have to be that small. Doesn't have to be like super big.
Recently done that I am proud of. You know what? Actually, a really, really big goal of mine was to modify my space, like in my room, because I just like I'm going through a lot of transitions this year, and I just like I'm really big on like vibes and energy and like and I wanted my home to be like a safe space. Yeah. So I did that. Like I had a goal in mind, like I wanted to change up like how my bedding was and my desk space, and then my future goal is like a whole closet clean out. And then so far I've made my bed super nice. Like I bought like everything, every comforter and like pillowcase that was like sage green. So that, and then like I did like a deep cleaning of the carpets. I did my laundry. Like, so it's like, it's that leading up to like organizing the closet a little bit. And so I feel like these goals are very like,
damn, it's on the wrong pipe.
Oh no.
Sorry.
No, it's okay.
No, those are good. Those are good goals. And
I feel like these are such, like, you know what I'm talking about? Like, these are like the basics.
Nah, I mean, again, talking about, you said like, oh, 10-minute mile, like it's embarrassing, but like, if you compare yourself to other people, some people don't see that as basic. Some people are like very messy, very disorganized, and they don't, So to say that, oh, I want my room to be clean and my space to be clean is not like, oh, that's a bad goal, because for some people it's harder to achieve.
Yeah.
So that's good. I think it's funny how you say like, oh, you are a big person on like vibes and energy, and how creating that space gives you like a good vibe and a good energy. Because I mean, some people refer to it as like, feng shui and creating that flow of energy in your space. But also, like, if you look at it, on the other flip side of that coin of like science, science-based evidence and stuff like that, there is a lot of research and science-based evidence that creating a good space that you enjoy being in, that is clean, allows you to perform better and allows your mental health to be better. I think that's why I was recently in the same spot as you, maybe, and I'm about to be in the same spot as you because I'm moving. So I'm about to get a new room, so I get to redesign my whole room. So that is a big, opportunity for me to create that space to allow me to perform and function the way that I want to be. And I think whatever space of life that you're in can also change the way that you want your space to feel. If you're very work oriented, then you can organize your space and fix up your space to have your workflow be better. But if you want your home to be more comfort and then have your work separate, then you can.
That's how I am. Like, my home is, I go there to sleep and to rest. So that's why, like, everything in my room has to be super, like, cleaned and put away, so I don't have to worry. It doesn't cause me any stress, and then also relaxing. Like the kind of tones and what kind of plants and stuff I have, like, in that room, that it has to just be a place where I can debrief from the rest of the day. Because whenever I work, like, I work and I go home to chill, and then I go work out. So anytime I'm doing work, it's outside of my house. It's outside of my house. And then anytime I have to do schoolwork, I go to a cafe. So I just don't like bringing work into where I sleep.
That's really good. A lot of people, meld the two, and then it's hard to separate your like comfort space from your workspace because they're so like entwined.
Well, I mean, with COVID, I get it.
And it changes your mental too. Like, if you're able to take your work and put all your work outside of your house, as soon as you walk into the door, you know that like there's no work in this space. Right. And you're able to be relaxed and be comfortable.
That was my goal. And it's like, I'm doing like little things throughout the week. Like, in my planner, I had to divide it, like, clean the bathroom, do one load of laundry. Because when I do like 2 or 3, I'm just like, ugh.
It sits for too long.
It sits for too long, and I'm just like, end up like grabbing clean clothes from like the hamper that I put my laundry in, kind of thing. So it has to be like super systematic and one by one kind of thing. So
I feel like we're in very similar spaces and areas, because I'm thinking the same way that you are. Like, I need to create my space to be the way that I wanted to, and allow myself to be efficient in the tasks and habits and stuff that I create. So what is something that you've been like interested in and passionate about that you feel like has made your life just a little bit better recently? Is there something
passionate about that has made my life better? Honestly, I have been very with myself. Like, it's been a very personal journey that I've been doing. Like, I'm someone who, I appreciate like church and friends and going out and just being with people, but I feel like I lost a part of myself that was specifically like Sandra's self-care. Because I did therapy, and I'm kind of sad, like, ever since I changed insurances, I don't have my same therapist. But when you see a therapist, you fill out this questionnaire about, there's a portion that says work life, social life, and then self-care. And every time I would fill this out, my spiritual self-care was always, before was always compromised. Like it was the one that had the lowest score out of all of them. And so I neglected that side of my life. And so that's all I'm focusing on right now. Like I'm supposed, this is the thing I'm proud of, right? Yeah. So I'm really, I am.
Just take it wherever you want.
Yeah. So that's the thing that I've been working on and that I'm proud of doing, because it's like I can't neglect myself, especially if I want to bring the best version of myself forward. So I'm really proud of that, because I'm still in the process of it, and I can't say that like, oh, I'm like queen of self-care already. Like it definitely takes a lot of discipline and a lot of rearranging my schedule and my mentality as to how I can achieve that.
Yeah.
So
that's really good, because I think we talked about it in my episode with Dap, I think. But I think a lot of people don't prioritize themselves enough. Not in like a selfish way, like, oh, everything is about me. But I think it becomes very easy to look outwards, to do stuff for other people and make sure other people are okay. And not even just like make sure other people are okay, but to like do stuff for yourself that makes you feel better about yourself and makes you feel proud of yourself and happy for yourself, because it's super important. It's super, super important.
It is. So
I just wanted to get into a little bit about that, because I like how you brought that up, how you really are taking care of yourself, which is very important.
Very.
I have always known you to be like a joyful and an energetic person, and I know a lot of people enjoy being around you, and I'm not saying that is lost, and you've definitely have been one of those people in my life, and it's been very inspiring, especially because I know that you have gone through a lot of stuff and endured a lot of stuff that for some people would change their life and make them not a kind of joyful and energetic person. So I want to talk about that a little bit, if you're comfortable, for the main purpose of people being able to see how to endure struggle and hurt and pain and come out of it and be okay and be good and be happy, and not to like let those things engulf you. So first I wanna, if you're comfortable, talking about what struggles you did endure, because I feel like understanding the weight of your struggle and the weight of your difficulties and the weight of your hurt and pain and loss and all that stuff that was hard to go through, understanding all of that makes the turnaround of like focusing on your self-care, going to a therapist, still being able to enjoy other people's company and other people being able to enjoy your company, all of that, what people see on the outside and see you as, like the way that I see you as a joyful, energetic person, for you to still be that person and having gone through all of like this stuff. Being able to understand this makes this so much greater, you know? So.
Well, thank you for like complimenting my character. I appreciate hearing stuff like that, because I feel like when people tell you how they see you, it's genuine. It's like, okay, like that's not saying like I get validation from it, but it's just like, it's nice to know that like, even though I do go through struggles like that, like that's the kind of character like God made me to be. And so I'm totally comfortable. I'm open to discuss that. So is there was there a specific question?
No specific question, just mainly just talking about like the hard, difficult parts of your life that kind of like shook you up.
Life is hard sometimes.
For sure.
Man, like I was just talking to the wedding I went to yesterday, I was talking to one of my old best friends since kindergarten, and we were talking about how there's this whole thing with like, God gives his you know what I'm talking
what
about.
Is it?
God gives his hardest battles to the strongest warriors.
Yeah.
And we're both like, no, I'm good. Can I be like the weakest of the bunch, please? But I think to start off, I think one of the main things that really shook me up was losing my dad. Man, you caught me during a bad time. I'm like, I think I'm like super emotional
That's good.
today, but I was losing my dad because it's like I literally went through everything that the news was talking about.
During
like COVID. It already looks scary, but then to experience that, everyone's like, oh, the news is dramatic. Maybe they dramatized it a little bit, but like everything they talked about was like what I went through. So
can you talk a little bit about what that was like? Because it was COVID, right? That for your dad.
Yeah, it was smack dab.
Yeah.
Smack dab COVID. So it was in 2020 when I actually moved out in 2020 during the beginning. So I moved out and I wasn't living with my parents anymore. And then in the later part of 2020, around November, December, it feels like a movie. It was super weird. Like my mom and my dad, they told me they were sick, but they weren't answering their phones. And so like for me, I can get anxious. So I'm just like calling them, blowing up their phones, and they're not answering me. So I grab PPE from work. So I grabbed the whole suit, like the blue plastic, the face shield, the mask. And then I go into the house and I'm just like, are you guys good? Like, I have a key there. So I asked them if they're good, and they're like, no, like we have COVID. I'm just like, oh my gosh. So I buy one of the oxygen meters, and that's a really big indicator for COVID is if your oxygen drops below 95, it's not good. Mm-hmm. It's not good kind of thing. So then I go there and then I measure my mom's oxygen and it's at 89%. Like, that's bad. Yeah. And so call the ambulance on her because I can't risk me getting sick. Just so sucky about COVID. Can't risk me getting sick. Ambulance takes her. But they weren't gonna take her. They took her oxygen and it was low, like I said. And they're like, oh, that's normal with COVID. I'm like, no, take her to the hospital now. And so she goes. She's the first one that goes into the hospital. And then my dad carries along. And then for my mom, luckily, they do all the treatments and she's discharged, but my dad stays in there for like about a week or two. And it's so crazy how like God designs things. But the day before like he passed, I drove up to the hospital, the gas station. It's like in Harbor City. There's like a gas station next to the Harbor UCLA. And that's the closest that I could get to him. Mm-hmm. So I like look out to the hospital. I'm just like, I'm praying for you, Dad. Like, I love you. And I mean, that's all I could do. Mm-hmm. And so that was like the day before he passed. But during the process of it, I was just on FaceTime. Like, I had to be the one on call with him to say like, they're going to put you on a ventilator and you're going to be okay. Like, just let them do it. And it's scary because the doctor will say like, we had to have you sedated. Like, you won't have consciousness anymore. Mm-hmm. And he was scared. And I had to be the one to tell him like, these people, they know what they're doing. Like, just let them do it. And the faster you let them intubate you, the better. So ever since that call, I didn't realize like, I didn't know how serious a ventilator was. I did not know. And so ever since that, it was a FaceTime call. So I was no longer able to talk to my dad, like, because he wasn't there. He was just fully sedated. Because if you wake up and you have like a ventilator here, oh, that's like so painful. Mm-hmm. So they have to sedate you so you don't feel anything, but you're still conscious. You're still able to like hear, but who knows? Yeah. Who really knows? Like, who really knows after you've been on a ventilator? But yeah, that was the last time I was able to really talk to my dad and be like, you're good. And we prayed for him before, like that he would have peace, and that he would just let the doctors do, and that God would give the doctors provision over everything. And I think about a week after being on a ventilator, a week or so, they called me at work that they had to do, what is it? Resuscitation. They had to try to resuscitate him, but it didn't work, and it was time. So that was that, and that was the first step in me ever being so involved in a funeral. Like knowing someone I really lost and the process of it. Like it's like so fast, and it's like it's so overwhelming at times.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was the process of COVID and my dad passing.
Yeah. How was that for you?
I get shaky just thinking about it. Oh God.
I know. It had to be tough, you know, especially because we're so young. Having to go through that with your dad, especially because when it happened, your mom was in a very similar position.
Yeah.
And so I just was wondering, how was that for you, having to like go through that with your dad, and you know, being so young and having to plan your dad's funeral and stuff?
Yeah. You're right. It is so young. I think I get that a lot, that they're like, man, I'm so sorry you lost your dad at such a young age.
Yeah.
And I just think about it. I'm just like, man, like, sorry to sadden the mood, but it's just like, I won't have a father-daughter dance when I get married kind of thing. But funeral-wise, it was just like, I wanted to tell the world to just slow down. Like, let me process this. And COVID was just such a scary, sad time, because when I was at that funeral service, I was talking to the workers who were there, and I was like, how have you been? Like, how have the COVID influx been? And they're like, we're so backed up. Like, they have to wait, put people on a wait list for cremation. Like, that's how much flow there was of people passing away. And when I heard that, I kind of felt like I didn't feel alone, like, because other people who were there, they had people who passed away from COVID too. So that, like, just knowing that a lot of people are going through the same thing kind of gave me comfort in that. But going through with the actual funeral, it didn't hit me until I was there. Like, it didn't hit me, like, until I saw my dad. And is this getting dark?
No, I'm trying to give you the space to tell your story. Not,
you see how I don't. Yeah.
I am not trying to like veer away from it, you know. That's what I'm saying. Okay. The whole point is to really understand the hurt and stuff like that. So I really want you to
be vulnerable.
Yeah, I'm not asking you to like, spill everything that you don't want to tell and stuff like that. But again, just to go back to the purpose of this, because it is hard to tell these stories, you know. It is hard to go back and have these memories again. And I don't want you to feel like you're telling the story just to tell the story and for all of this or whatever. But it's really, again, just because stories like this can help people, you know. Stories like this, if not to allow people to understand somebody else's hurt, you know, can see that it can show other people that, you know, there are other people that are struggling like me and have gone through certain things. And like I said, the whole purpose, which we'll get to eventually, is like how you were able to go through all of this but still be a joyful person and to see the better side of things and to come out of it the way that you did. So again, really whatever you feel the need to share and stuff like that.
Yeah. It's not like I don't feel comfortable. It's just more so like, dang, like this is getting like...
Yeah, no, it's real. That's what I'm saying.
It's so real.
And that's another thing too. Not to like cut you off, but...
No, you're good.
I think a lot of times when people talk to another person, right, and we ask each other about each other's lives, oftentimes it can be so surface level. It can be so like, oh, how's your job? How's this and how's that? And it's sometimes hard to check up on people and be real and deep and get to those like dark places.
Right.
And be able to receive and share parts of yourself like that. So that's another purpose, you know, to be able to see or to have the opportunity to like connect on like a deeper,
like really be human with them.
Yeah. So again,
right,
whatever you feel the need to share.
But going back, it didn't hit me until it was there. Like I was there and I saw him, and I was giving my eulogy, and it was like a funny / I'll miss you kind of thing, and I ended up tearing up when I was talking about how he used to be. Like he used to always like tell me to clean and used to always tell me to like work out, like super Navy guy. And I like paused because like it kicked in that like that's who he was and he's not here anymore. And the people who were there were like his tennis buddies, and they heard me pause, and they've gone through loss too, and they're like, you got this, Sandra, you got this. And at the end of my eulogy, I said that like, even though like that's how my dad was and he's no longer with us, like a lot of his character is in me. And like the way that I feel close to him is that like he's the one that raised me, and he's the one that gave me certain characteristics. So like he's gone, but he's still here like in my heart. And it sounds super cliche, but like I have a lot of characteristics that resemble my dad, and a lot of things that I do is because of my dad. Like when I spend time with my mom, like I know that like he always wanted me to take care of her. So that's like always been something that I do. And then I also always, you can ask my mom, I press her to clean the house like with me, you know, because like it's just, that was like something my dad always like instilled, like a happy home like is a holy home kind of thing. And so it was bittersweet. Definitely. I'm so glad that like, even though it was COVID, there were people there to really mourn with. But dang, like I was walking up and I saw his name, like Sandra Custodio, and I was like, oh, it's coming. Like all the feelings are coming. And it was just like a rush. I was like, I can't do this. And then I just had to take a minute. Like I was crying so much, my lashes came off. Like, oh my gosh. But it was quite an experience. I wasn't gonna walk up to him in the coffin and stuff like that. I wasn't gonna do it. I was just like, that's not my dad. Like, that's my dad, but like, that's not really who my dad is. And the guy that I was dating at the time was like, you should go and just say bye to him because this is the last time you're gonna see him. And I'm like, oh, you're right. And so I did, and I think it wasn't really closure for me. You know what I'm saying? Like, I wish I was there at the hospital bed more so than I was there by his funeral bed.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's one of the crazy things that no one really talks about is that when you have someone who has COVID and is in a hospital, you literally don't see them until they pass away.
Yeah.
That's like that. I think I had a realization of that. I was like, I didn't see my dad until it was his funeral.
Yeah.
And it's crazy stuff. And I'm just like, dang, that was a trip. But that was my experience having and coordinating a funeral.
Yeah.
at age 24 or 3.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So I want to talk about like how these difficult moments changed you. Is there any other like struggles or things that happened in your life that like shifted your perspective or your personality or your character, that you would, any other moments that you want to add on before we?
Yeah, definitely the one with my dad. And then recently I went through my first breakup, like totally total new experience to me. It's my first ever breakup with my first boyfriend. I think that was definitely another milestone. Is milestone like, it could be either good or bad, right?
Yeah.
Right. So another milestone in my life where it shakes up your world too.
Yeah.
So that one was another struggle that changed my outlook on life and my outlook as a person and my future too.
Yeah. How was
the tea?
Yeah. I don't, again, it's hard because I know that you're open and stuff like that, but again, just to preface, I don't want to feel like I'm like, poking and prodding at all the different areas.
I know where to keep the boundaries of respect more so. Yeah. So we're good to discuss.
Yeah.
Thank you for the respect.
Yeah,
I appreciate it.
Of course. How did that change the way that you, I guess, saw the world, or how did that change you as a person?
It changed how I saw the world because I've never been in a relationship before. Like, I date with intention, and I don't, like, I mean, to each their own, you know, if they're, they just meet people and date around and stuff like that, very casual. But for me, it's very like, I went into the relationship not wanting a relationship, but God brought this man into my life and I was very intentional with it. And it just, I think over the span of time, it was just keeping God alongside me, kind of hearing his voice, and this is not what I have for you, which is something so hard to hear.
Yeah.
Everyone's like, I want you to answer me, God. When I heard that answer, I was like,
never mind, take it back.
I was like, yeah, I don't think I like your answer, God. And so it definitely did change me, because I never knew what a relationship was, like how to really love someone, be vulnerable with somebody, want to live life with somebody. Never experienced that ever. And I'm so grateful that like I went through what I went through, because I think I'm like, okay, God, why did you give me it if you're just going to take it away? And it was just right for me in that time, because coming out of it, I don't think I would have known what I needed in my kingdom spouse than I do now. Because before, I kind of just like, I prayed about it. I got confirmation from God, and the verse was really to like stay true to who I am, stay true to my beliefs and everything that he's taught me. And I did that. And now that we're coming at the end point, it's like I have so much knowledge that I know myself as a woman now, and I know what God wants for me, and it wasn't that. Yeah. Ooh. Which is a hard truth.
Yeah, definitely. So you're saying that the purpose that God brought him into your life and for you to go through what you went through is to be able to see not only yourself in a relationship and who you need to be as a partner, but also like what you want and what God has for you in a partner. Yeah, like that's exactly everything that I learned. And I learned also like, man, being in a relationship is so fun and such a trip. And you learn, I mean, if you make the most of it and are very like in tune with yourself, like you can learn so much.
like how big communication is, how to interact with somebody, and like that, like what you feel the other person feels like. So you have to be very conscientious of all that. But I mean, is there any thing in particular about like my breakup that you wanted to?
Nothing in particular.
Like,
I just kind of
away from it.
Yeah, I just kind of wanted to talk about your experience through it, and I'm actually, I don't want to say glad, but I'm interested in your response because you know, a lot of people. I'm interested in the response that you gave, because a lot of people, you know, when they reminisce on breakups, it's a lot of the times it's like, oh, it was really hard, it was really difficult for me. Not saying that it wasn't for you, right?
Right.
They just really reminisce and sit on like the difficult struggle part of it. Right. But I liked your answer because it sounded very hopeful, and it sounded very positive, and it sounded, you know, and I'm really happy for you that you were able to experience that, and that's your like takeaway from it, that there is good seeing it. And that's why I'm saying, like, that's why I wanted to talk about this stuff, especially with you, because you are that kind of person that takes the good out of those situations and doesn't like really sit too much on the negative outlooks and stuff like that. So that's why I want to talk about this stuff with you.
Yeah, no, totally. I'm so blessed that like I'm seen as that person. I just like, because it's so unintentional for me.
Yeah.
Like it really is.
It's just your nature.
It's just my nature. And maybe I had to give it up to like God and my mom, because my mom is just like peace and rainbows, happy-go-lucky type of thing. But when I went through that, like I know God does everything with a purpose, like completely. So I had to ask God, I'm like, why? Like, why? Like, you saw my prayers, you saw everything that both parties tried. Like, what are you trying to teach me? And I've talked to people who've gone through breakups, and they've come to me and they're like, how are you doing so well? And I was like, because you got to ask God the raw questions. Yeah. Like, is there something you're trying to teach me about my character? Is there something you're trying to teach me like as a whole? Like, what is the bigger picture in it? And I had to be so real with God. Like, I think right now I'm in like, what is it called? In the thick of it, I guess, so to say. Like, there's days where it's like, oh, I'm good, a peaceful life. And then there's like, dang, like in my thoughts kind of thing. And then there's like hopeful. So it's really just like a super, super natural response just to keep God along this whole process of just like these ups and downs. But there's days where I had to really pray for his peace, and that like that he would intercede on it more than I am, because I was healing. Like, I was literally like, I was like, let me go to the beach, let me go travel, let me do all these different things. And then I got tired of trying to heal. Yeah. And I was just like,
trying to heal yourself.
Yeah, I try to do all these super holistic things like new energy, new space, you know, hanging out with my friends more, which all help. Yeah. But at the end of the day, I was talking to Pastor Rai, and she was like, you know, you can do all these different things, but there was something for her that wouldn't take the sadness away, and only God could have done that. Yeah. And I was like, I feel that. Like, I was like, I can do all these good things, but deep down, like, God really like healed my heart. Yeah,
it's all just all the holistic and other stuff you just it's all just cover-ups. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, you have your hurt, and then you're like, oh, I'm gonna hang out with friends, oh, I'm gonna travel, I'm gonna create a better space, I'm gonna do this, but your hurt is still there. You know.
And I wanted to go through it like raw. Like, I didn't want any fillers, because I could have just easily like dated and totally just like slept around and stuff like that to kind of like feel worthy and feel wanted. But I told God, I was just like, you know me and you know my heart. Like, I want to be whole. Like, I want to be completely just whole and healed. And I kind of come to the realization that like, it's like a whole like let God and let go kind of thing. but super intentional with keeping my time with him and like with myself. I think this period of no contact is like the greatest decision ever, because in those moments when you're just thinking, you have so much reflection time and you're able to really see the relationship for what it is. Like you have no one distracting you, you have nobody like kind of swooning you away, like not if it's your ex, but if it's for other people who are like courting you, right? There's no distractions. Like you just have to really sit with yourself, sit with your thoughts, and then just be like, how did that go? How was I as a person?
Yeah.
Because I don't put blame on either party, but kind of like, where were my faults and where were my mistakes, and how am I going to bring that and take that with me to my next relationship? But it was a journey. It's a journey, and it still is a journey.
Yeah. So
it was a lot to uncover for myself.
Yeah, I really like how you talked about being able to sit with yourself and have those discussions with yourself after going through that breakup, especially because, here, let me ask you this. Do you think that your response to your breakup and the way that you acted had anything to do with the fact that it was pretty shortly after the passing of your dad? Like, do you think that the culmination of difficult trials made your response what it is, or were they two separate events? Two separate events.
Because but the whole mourning process is kind of the same, but two separate events, because one, like, you have actual loss, and then the second one you have loss of someone who's still alive. So that you can instantly probably have access to, but you had to, like, one of them you don't really need discipline because they're not there. The second one you do, because all that access, and then you had to really sit with yourself and think, like, would it be really beneficial for me to reach out or to have access to that person? Like, because for me, I'm more of like, just as much as like creating a new space in my room, I have to create a new space in my head. So I have to like get rid of things and create like a new, not like a new life, but just a new mindset on things. Like, I can't fill myself with stuff that constantly reminds me of my past relationship. Like, I have to know that, like, this is a next step forward kind of thing. So definitely like two different experiences completely. If anything, I feel like the loss, like with my dad, well, it's hard to say because that was like 2-3 years ago, but I would say that like the loss of my dad was easier to kind of cope around than it is like with my experience right now.
Why would you think that is?
I think because this one is so much more, I wouldn't say so much more emotional, but it's just, it's like so much more different, and like you have to create like a new lifestyle, you know, especially when that person was your best friend, right? You have to create a different lifestyle with yourself, and I think it's really like mourning someone that who is still here on this earth. Because a lot of the times, like when parents pass away, and like animals, anything that you have like an attachment to, like it's usually like a life or death situation. But then for here, it's like just it's more so for the benefit of your own soul, your own heart, kind of thing. So
I feel like a lot of people don't have the ability, but struggle with
it's hard,
the ability to sit with themselves and really reflect on difficult situations, like the way that you said, of like having gone through loss and gone through trials and struggles, and like I said, some people find it difficult to really sit and be like, okay, how did that go for me? Like, what do I do now? Like, what did I learn? Take away stuff like that. And I think that's a skill that can be learned, obviously. But I think for some people it comes easier than others. How do you feel like you have become that kind of person? Like, have you always been that kind of person? That's or is it like a learned thing for you that through these past years you've become more of a kind of person that is able to like sit with themselves and talk with themselves? I feel like there's a term for that. I don't know it, but I feel like there is a term out there for that. But yeah,
overcomer. No, I don't think that's
no, more so like the ability to look inwards and to be comfortable having conversations with yourself and being comfortable being by yourself, you know. Like you talked about earlier, it's so easy and so common to experience struggle, difficulty, pain, loss, all that, and then look for distractions to kind of like cover it up, and some people live by that, like, oh, time heals, like eventually, like I'll get over it and stuff like that. And like I said, it is very hard to face your problems head on. And be I said it a while ago, but anyways, be somebody that is able to like sit with themselves and talk with themselves through that situation. So again, have you always been that kind of person? Did you like learn it recently, or
I think honestly I have to give complete credit to like God and like Living Bread, because a lot of where I started to develop this habit of like self-reflection and inward looking is just because of church. Like, for example, but then also like a part of my personality is I don't ever want to rely on somebody. Like, and it can get bad sometimes. Like I like will kind of just try to do things on my own and not ask for help for certain personal situations. But it started with going to church and me going through struggles, like if it was at home or if it was like with peers and stuff like that. I noticed like I would go to people, like I would go straight to people and vent, and I just wouldn't feel fulfilled. Like they didn't tell me what I wanted to hear, or they didn't comfort me in a right way. But I also had to give credit. I was like, they're imperfect. Like they're not either a licensed therapist or but I feel like what it really was is that God was really trying to show me that like he's my person, like he's the one I can vent to, I can get answers from. And so I think that's where it stemmed from. Like I would go through a struggle and I would reach out to people and it just wasn't it. Like I was just like still searching and still trying to understand. And that's when I started journaling. I was just like, I love it. I always say like, hi God. And then I would just vent. I would just like, this is what's happening, blah, 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 blah. So annoyed, so frustrated. And then always at the end, like I would always hear God speak to me. Like he would always say like, Sandra, or my daughter, blah, 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 blah. Like
how did you hear his voice? Would it be through like verses, songs?
You know what? Sometimes what I do is I allow myself to vent, like just be raw and vent, be super complainer when I'm journaling.
Like, have you ever like argued at God or like, God, why did you do this to me? Like,
I don't argue with God. I'm like sad at his response. I'm like, why? You know? But I'm never mad at him because I know he's just like, I know he knows what he's doing. I've always had the mentality like, what he allows to happen is kind of like, dang, that sucks. But I never really question his authority because I just have that much trust in him, like regardless. But I would vent and then I would read after. And whether I'm on like a certain devotional, a certain book, a certain chapter in the Bible, I would read it until like I would either like take it portion by portion or I would stop at a verse when it speaks to me, and usually that's how it happens. And once I process that, then God kind of gives me a response in that, like I kind of hear what I'm supposed to take from that verse.
Yeah.
And that's how it started. I just always felt so fulfilled and so answered and so seen and so heard when he was the person I could vent to.
Yeah.
But I also do appreciate any like fellowship that I do get.
Yeah.
But when it comes to personal things, I'm just like, man, I need to hear.
Mm-hmm.
I need to hear from God.
Yeah. Yeah, because I mean, when you talk to other people, I feel like there's levels to going through difficult trials and struggles and tribulations in your life.
Right.
For example, like the first level, and when I say levels, I mean like, I don't know how to explain it. More so like, I guess levels. Mm-hmm. I'll just talk about it. So basically the first one is like a lot of people talk to other people about it because it's accessible. It's what they know. Right. And they know they'll get an answer. So they talk to other people about what they're going through. Mm-hmm. Hey, I'm going through this, blah, blah, blah. And then the issue with that is they only know what you're telling them. And plus the stuff that you're telling them is up to interpretation by them.
Yeah.
Right? And it's the way that you tell the story. So the way that they receive the story and thus their advice and their information can be skewed to like the reality of what's actually going on. And, you know, due to whatever reason, maybe you might not be telling them every detail and every emotion that you're, you know, so there are missing pockets of like them being able to solve your problems. Not saying that people on the outside can never help you solve your problems because that's not always the case, but what is always the case is that they can't always help you solve your problems. So there will always be gaps in having other people help you solve your problems, right? And then the next level in like difficulty and the next level in like how often people do it is what we talked about is with you is like talking to yourself. Stop asking other people, look inwards, like, okay, what did I do? You know, taking responsibility and taking blame of everything that happens in your life because nobody is in control of your life except for yourself. Yeah. So although there are some things that are out of your control, the way that you respond to it is up to you. So, you know, looking at yourself like, what did I do in that situation? How could I have done it better? Or how can I learn and grow from this looking inside? That's like the second level. And then for Christians and people like us who rely on God's word and who see it as authority and who see it as the most true, like that is the next level, like going to God, going to somebody who really sees everything that you're going through, all of your hurt and your pain, and even the things that you don't tell other people, even the things that you might not even see in yourself, those things that are missing in your self-examination, like God knows and God sees, and that's why his advice and the way that he solves problems is so much better than any other levels or any other ways. Going back to like that example that I gave of like you have your hurt, you know, and then you have these distractions of covering it up, hanging out with people, you know, creating a nice space, you know, working out, blah blah. That's all cover up, but that problem is still there. But I feel like when you go with God, he takes away the problem, you know, he gives you an actual solution and he gives you actual peace about, you know, the situation. So, yeah. I
actually listened to a podcast where it talks exactly about that. Like I love like podcasts that talk about like inward self, like people who are just so in tune with a purposeful life and who they are as a person. It's just like, I don't know, it just so interesting to me. And they talked about how some people are CEOs of like business, but they're like at home they're not, you know, like you can be so like you can work out and be a trainer, and like for example I can like work out and be a PA and everything like that, but then I neglect myself, like I neglect like the struggles I'm going through and the hurt and like the trauma. And then it totally, like, it's a totally different department. Like you can succeed in those, in your career. I mean, sometimes it's not a distraction. It's like, it's your livelihood, but then you can focus so much on that you are like a baby mentally or relationally. So, and for me, it's just, it has to be like a balance for sure. Like being, like going back to like how we were talking about like talking to God about it and then talking to people. I don't want to underestimate like the power of like fellowship for sure, because going to people and talking to like girlfriends who are going through the same thing, that one has made a world of a difference to like feeling like they understand. And even though it's not exactly the same person in the same situation, like there's just a connection, and there's this like this love bond that you're just like, oh, you know what I'm going through. And it's definitely so powerful too, which is why I gave credit to church. Mm-hmm. It's such a big space of healing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's good. So what would you say now in this moment of your life? I know that we talked a little bit about it, but if you want to add on more of like, what would you say that you're doing for yourself now to, I don't know if rebound is the right word, but like come back from the past few years being a lot of struggle in your life? Like, what do you feel like you're doing to grow and to learn from that? Again, we talked a lot about it, so if you just want to like retouch or like add on.
I think, I can just like, I guess it's like adding on to it. I don't want to say I want to get back to who Sandra was, because I really feel like every experience just molds you more and more into, you're like a soul in progress, like you're always like continually learning. But I'm just doing what makes me happy. Like I have more time in the world. I wouldn't say I have no distractions, but I just really want to be, right now what I'm doing is I really want to be in tune with like what makes Sandra, like what makes me happy.
Yeah, figuring out what makes you happy, figuring out, what brings you joy, and then doing those things. So how do you find time in your schedule? Because I know that's difficult for a lot of people, because you're full-time, and there are other aspects in your life. You have church friends, you have your family, and then you have work and stuff like that. How do you find time to do what makes you happy?
I am still working on that. So right now, like I work 8 to 5 Monday through Friday, and then a big thing about me is like my health. So, because I know like my health affects everything. It helps like my mood. It helps my work productivity. So after work, I always try to go to the gym at least 3 to 4 times a week, whether it's going to weight train and then it's really cool because a lot of my girlfriends will work out with me. So it's a double whammy, like hanging out and then working out. But it's not my ideal hangout, because like I look rude when I'm working out. I'm like,
because you're focused on yourself.
I have like my headphones and my head is down. I'm just like, that's not connection with people, So so that working out, whether it's like running or at the gym, and then church, of course, like Sundays or Fridays, whichever one I can make. And then with my mom, luckily she's been off this week, so there's been more like time to connect with her, but usually she's off on Fridays and Saturdays. So Saturdays are usually like, we'll go eat somewhere. She's a big shopper, so our whole routine is like, I'll work out in the morning, I meet up with her at home, and we'll eat and shop, because it gets my mom like walking and moving, and some excitement of buying stuff. And I'm at the age where I can buy stuff for her. So it's just the whole experience, and I love shopping too. And then snippets of just hanging out with people whenever it flows, and whatever relationships I feel like I need to nurture at that time, whether, because you have your best friends, but then you also have people you barely hang out with. And I try to just kind of just take it with the flow. Whenever I have the opportunity, or whenever like I feel like God is nurturing a certain relationship with somebody, then I just I'm always down to just be like, oh, we should do something, like let's hang out. I'm never showing people that I'm too busy for them, because what a sad life. You're just too busy to hang out with friends as a 26-year-old. It's so sad. But that's how I do it. It's super organic. Like there's some days where I had to listen to my body and it's just like my calves are burning. I don't know if I can run a mile or something like that, and just kind of take it with the flow if people's schedules are more free, because we're all adults now, so it can be pretty limited when we can see people. Yeah. That's how I do it.
That's good. That is good. I think it's really important to find those times. Do you ever feel like you have to force time in your schedule?
I was just talking to somebody about that yesterday. Like we compromise our sleep just to have a social life. Yeah. Yeah. Because it's like, I don't know. It's just maybe because I'm extroverted that like it's worth it to me. Yeah. But then it's bad because I also value my sleep and then I end up being late for things. So I'm like trying to find a balance there, like hang out with people, but maybe not too late. Yeah. So I can wake up early enough. Yeah. Like there's this one time where we were watching a movie late and then we never like, I don't know. I think it was with church people, but it was like practically I ended up staying at someone's house super late and they're like, Sandra, don't you have work the next morning? I'm like, yeah, but I'm like 26 years old. I should be having fun. And then I wake up late the next morning and I had to go to work. So it's like, I had to figure out something, like get a better alarm clock or something like that. But it's a little bit of a balance that I'm trying there.
That's good. What would you say on the topic of like doing what makes you happy, finding time in your schedule? What would you say is something that you have done recently that has made you, I don't know how to phrase this exactly, but basically what has been something that you have done recently that has given you, like, to get all scientific, like the highest dopamine spike, like really like made you like, oh my gosh, I love life.
I love science. I love talking about cortisol levels and all that stuff. Yeah. I love that stuff because it's real. Yeah. Honestly, running, like really? I was always like hating running, but like there's something that's like in me that's just like, I want to challenge myself to do things that I'm not comfortable doing. I'm weird. I don't know why. Like I could just stay comfortable but like I really wanted to like build up this thing of like no excuses. Yeah. Like no excuses, whether it's like academic, work, physical. And so I started doing it, and once I start running and I'm like done, I want to do more. Like I get like super that super exercise high. Like there was this one time where me and my sister were super crunched. She was just like, I was like, I have to work out after. She's like, go run really quick and then we'll eat dinner. And so I go to the downstairs gym at my apartment and I just like run a quick mile, and then I was like, I don't want to eat dinner. Like I was like, I want to work out and do something, like, or I wanted to like walk some more. And it was just, I think that's the most dopamine high that I've gotten recently, where I'm actually doing something. And I feel like a second one is I've been curating playlists because my commute is so long. Oh yeah. So besides podcasts, I've been like super into like making like a Pasadena playlist with my coworkers, and then I would edit the picture. Like on Pinterest, they have like anime photo album covers, and then you just pick one picture to make that your album cover, and it's just like, it's just fun. So like little genuine stuff like that have been getting me super like life is good type of mentality. Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Like it's important to have those little things, the little things in life that make life good. Not everything needs to be like, a trip to another country or like a whole party. Yeah, it doesn't. It's just a little like small playlist, like little running. That's good. What I like listening to other people's music. What is recommendation? What have you really been enjoying listening to lately? Kind of depends on the mood. Yeah. I have a playlist that's like healing, and I have a playlist that's like unbothered. And and then I have like my white girl playlist. So it kind of just depends like on the mood. What have you been watching?
Let's say here, if we were gonna go on like a road trip and we're gonna go, I don't know.
Okay.
If we're gonna go to a road trip and we're driving, we're gonna go to, I don't know, just use Yosemite for an example or whatever. We're driving far. It's gonna be good vibes. A bunch of us are in the car, and it's like the first hour. So you want to have something like,
I have to see.
Like woo, yeah. Like all excited and good vibes and happy. What is like?
Okay, that's definitely my.
What is one song? It's hard because
it's hard. Honestly, I don't know if you've heard of Atlas Genius. They're kind of just like a. So they have a song. It's super not generic, but it's used a lot. But it's very uppy in a road trip.
Yeah.
It's called Trojans by Atlas Genius. It's like a totally older song.
Yeah. But
it's road trip vibes.
Yeah.
I had to look at my phone to see, which one would suit it.
Yeah.
But I think them, and it's
Trojans by Atlas Genius.
Trojans by Atlas Genius.
Okay.
Or even like, dang. Because you can go relaxing too. There was this one girl that I discovered. Yeah. It's so hard to name it.
Yeah, no, it's okay.
Because I know the song.
Yeah.
But
like singing
even like the
right
artist, I'm like, I don't know their name.
Yeah.
But I know the song.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry.
It's okay. We'll go with Trojans by Atlas
Pass
Genius.
on that question.
Next question. All right. I guess I have only a few more questions.
Sure.
One of them, again, I had it in my head a while ago, but I don't remember what it was. Is there anything in your life right now? Well, I feel like we're kind of running in circles, but I'll ask it again just in case you have a new answer that you didn't think of. But if you have the same answer, you can just skip on it. But is there anything like that you would be excited to tell somebody else about? Like, let's say you're catching up with a friend that you haven't seen in a long time. It's like, hey, you know what I've been, blah, blah, like, I want to tell you about this. What is that?
It's so funny that you asked that, because literally yesterday when I went to a wedding, it's everyone from like elementary.
Yeah. Like so
everyone. I try not to talk about work and all that stuff with them. I just try to see, what would I tell them? Well, like one person that I've known since kindergarten, and I saw her yesterday, I'd probably tell her that like that I'm doing well, because we're both in the medical field.
Yeah.
And she works at Kaiser, and I would tell her that like I got an opportunity at Cedars-Sinai. Like that's like a very big thing to me, and that I underestimate and I should be proud of.
Yeah.
Because I had a one-on-one with my manager, and she's just like, did you know we work for like one of the top surgeons in the country? I was like, no, like the fact that they're in this little clinic like with me is crazy. And I would probably say that, but then she's also someone who values my mental health too. So I'd also tell her that like I'm like at peace, and that I'm doing well, and I still have like a lot of hope for the current struggles that I'm going through, because she knows that I lost my dad, and she knows that like I'm going through a breakup, and it was so nice to talk to her, because she said that she went through the exact same thing. Like mine was I think 3 years and hers was 5. And the first thing she asked me was like, how's your mental health? Like, how are you really doing? And I was just like, it's a roller coaster, but like right now, like because I have church and fellowship and I take a lot of time to myself, I'm able to really say that like I've been really at peace and been having a lot of joy in the small minuscule things. So kind of like a balance of like that I'm working towards my goals, and that also like my well-being is good, because it's more than what you can brag about. I work here and I make X amount of money, but it's also like at the end of the day, like how is your heart and how's your mind? And the people who I feel like I can really talk to, I would tell them both sides of that it's not just work life is good, but my heart is good too.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's I would kind of give them like my whole life rundown a little bit, actually.
That's good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't think we touched on that question, actually.
Yeah.
Not really.
All right. So is there anything else that you want to add on any of the topics we talked about, or even throw in a new topic before I ask you the last question?
No, I really love what you're doing. Like, I'm just seeing someone's passion come to life is so big, and
yeah.
I just want to acknowledge that you have such a talent for
Thank
this, and like I enjoy watching it. So
thank you. Yeah,
so,
I mean, I know that
I wanted an episode on you. I was like, I want to know about Marcus. Yeah, no, I was watching them. And I was just like, man, to know about the creator, not God, but the creator. well, we want to know about God too, but the creator himself. I was just like, man, I want to know about that. But yeah, I just want to acknowledge that what you're doing is so fun and so good.
Thanks. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think having you on is a really nice testament of what this podcast is supposed to be. You know, I mean, not a lot of people know our relationship, but I know that you are definitely one of the people that I can have a really long conversation with, and not in a bad way at all. Not in a bad way at all. It's literally like these kind of conversations that I had with people like you that make me want to do this. You know, this whole thing is kind of like, not only for other people to like gain stuff from, but also for me to be more intentional with the conversations I have, because I know that I enjoy having conversations with people. And so yeah, that's why to have you on is really nice, because I know that before we used to have like really long conversations and stuff like that. I remember this one I remember this one memory that we had before when I was in high school, and that we were doing we were probably like youth leaders together, I think. And we were doing something. You were dropping me off at my house.
I think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, we literally sat outside my house inside your car with your car on, because you were just going to drop me off, but we couldn't stop our conversation. Maybe it had to at least have been an hour, maybe an hour and a half long conversation, just sitting in the car. I don't even know what we were talking about.
Me either.
Yeah,
I remember that.
Yeah, it's the conversations like that that really like make me want to do this and to like have more conversations like that. So
I think it was hard for us to know when to say bye to each other, because we were just like, okay, I should probably go inside now. Yeah.
But yeah, thank you so much. I appreciate your words and stuff.
I'm trying to acknowledge people more.
Yeah, no, for sure. Again, it's important to like see other people for more than just like another random stranger person. Yeah, surface level stuff.
But no, that's it. That's all I have to really add to.
Nice. All right. Well, this is the question that I always ask everybody at the very end. And the question is, what is something that you feel has changed your life, that you feel that can change other people's life? And it doesn't, and it can be anything, right? It can be like a habit that you do, a book that you've read, a person that has had influence in your life, you know, anything. What is one thing that has changed your life that you think that can change somebody else's life?
What a great question. I think everything that we talked about and that we're like delving into, for me personally, like how I take on life is just don't neglect yourself. And you can take that in any which direction that you want to, like whether it's don't neglect yourself physically, or don't neglect yourself spiritually or mentally, or don't neglect yourself by surrounding yourself with people. But practically, like that's like my main thing, because all of us are so different, and all of us come from such different backgrounds that we had to internalize things like our own way. So to not neglect yourself means like you're really in tune with how you respond to things, and you're really in tune with like things that make you happy and have enjoyment. And that's the way that like I got through my struggles, was not neglecting myself and processing things for myself and doing things for myself that got me to where I am right now, where I can say like I'm working on my joy and I'm working on my peace and I'm working on my future progress.
Mm-hmm.
But practically that, like, there's so much value in who you are, and to just hone in on that.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of self love for yourself, because I feel like we can be so hard. We can be so hard on ourselves and neglect what we really need as like individuals.
Yeah, I really like that too, because I think for people like us,
Mm-hmm.
we find it a little bit easier to look out for other people than we do for ourselves.
Yeah.
And we kind of put other people, I don't want to say first, but sometimes we put other people ahead. But what has really, on the same topic of what you're talking about, to add on to that, what has really kind of like changed my viewpoint on focusing on myself is that since I'm so focused on, I try to focus on other people and benefiting other people and being there for other people and helping other people.
Mm-hmm.
Since that comes more naturally to my own head, the way that I kind of rewire myself to like also look at myself is, if I'm trying to help other people, what version of me am I putting out there for other people? If I don't focus on myself, then I'm not giving the other people that I'm trying to help, I'm not giving them the best that I have to offer. I want to, because I love the people that are around me, like I want to give them the best of myself. I want them to, I'm not saying that I'm so great and so amazing and everybody needs to like, but since I'm going to be doing it anyways,
right.
Since I'm going to be helping people and being there for people anyways, might as well give them the best I have to offer. So that is a very good piece of information and a very good thing to remember, that like, hey, don't forget about yourself, because you have a lot to offer, you have a lot to give other people and to give those around you, and you don't I don't want other people to miss out on what you have to offer.
It's the whole concept of like balance, like if you don't get a lot of sleep, like are you really gonna put your best self forward? Like, are you gonna be cranky? Are you gonna be angry? Which I understand, like there's times like that, but it's like, it's literally like when you put your best self, it's just like the genuine you, and you can strive towards goals and you can strive towards making relationships better. It's just an overall good thing. And I don't know how to explain it, but it's just back to the basics. Like, it's like what they teach us about like serving others. Like, what are you gonna serve to them if you haven't like given yourself enough time? Like when you and me used to be youth leaders, right? Like Fridays, not in a negative connotation, like Fridays are for the youth, like serving them, being there for them. So serve yourself throughout the week kind of thing. Like you kind of build up that momentum so you can really have that heart for those people. And it's that kind of thing. And it's like, even in myself in this like healing journey, like I'm loving on myself, so I'm building up that momentum to really love the person who's in front of me, or the person who's going to be like even like a manager, a patient, a next relationship. So if you focus on yourself and you love yourself and you learn to love yourself, and then the loving of other people is just an overflow of the love you have to give. It really is. If you have like a limited amount of love, of course you're gonna like, I'm gonna keep it to myself, or on the flip side, you give it all away and then you don't have anything for yourself. So it's better to focus on yourself and learn to love yourself, and that way your interactions with other people are just an overflow of what you already know to be true about yourself, rather than trying to stretch what
you don't really have.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
It's the whole concept of burnout.
Yeah.
You know, it's just stretching yourself too thin, and then you end up like pushing people away, pushing the world away, and you become like a bitter soul. And it's not something that I want to be known to do.
Yeah.
You know, I'd rather be known how, like you explain, like joyful throughout trials. But you know what's so crazy actually is like whenever I read a Bible verse, the ones that always resonated with me is like the whole like peace during chaos, and the whole I have joy even in my suffering. For some reason I was like, dang God, like that is so sick. Like that is so cool to have the mentality of like Job. You can go through the most chaotic thing, but this man will say like, I love you, Lord, and I trust you. I think those were the ones that always resonated with me, and I think that's always been my like spiritual goal.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was just realization. I was like, I think that's where it stems from.
Yeah. That's good. Well, I really enjoyed talking to you and catching up with you. I know that we haven't had a conversation like this in a long time, so I know that it's I know that it's in like in front of a camera and stuff, but I really enjoyed catching up with you and learning about, you know, where you've been at and what you've been doing, and I'm excited to see where you're going to be in the future. I'm excited for you're at Cedar Sinai right now. Yeah, I'm excited for, you know, all that stuff, and I can't wait to see you as a dermatologist.
Thank you. Thanks for like just having this passion to hear people out. It really makes, I feel like it really makes people feel seen and heard. So
thank you.
No problem.
All
this
right.
was great.
Cool. That's it.
Yep.
Yeah. Thanks, Sandra.
Yeah.